webinar. I'm here with Cynthia Padilla, and she's going to talk today about the KNIME software.
Thank you, Rosaria. Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here today. Rosaria said, my name is Cynthia Padilla. I'm with the customer care team. And today, let me go back to the presentation. And today we're going to talk about the KNIME software. First of all, I'd like to thank you for being here today. My role at KNIME is to help our customers understand the value proposition that KNIME has, and I help them get started with the software. I'm going to provide an overview of both the analytics platform and the KNIME Server. And I'm going to make sure I have my screen share. There you go. So let's get started. For the agenda today, we are going to go over our products, an overview of the KNIME Analytics platform, then the server, and then we'll talk about how you can get started with the KNIME Analytics. And at the end, we do Q&A. So if you have any questions throughout the webinar, please write them on the chat. There'll be one person from our team monitor the chat, and we'll be answering those questions at the end of the webinar. So let's start with the KNIME software and what are our products. You can see at the middle, we have the KNIME Analytics platform, which is our flagship product, which allows you to not only analyze the data, but also load, integrate, transform, and visualize it. As part of the analytics platform, we have KNIME extensions that are supported and provided by KNIME, as well as integrations. Additional extensions are provided by our trusted community. And as you can see, all of these dotted lines mean that it is open source. So it's an open source platform. You can download the analytics platform today, start using it for your own use or for your company. We also provide partner extensions. These extensions have a fee, but you don't need a license to install them. Our partners provide those extensions and they support them. The second product we'll be talking about today is the KNIME Server, which is our commercial product, and it complements the KNIME Analytics platform with collaboration, automation, and deployment. So we'll go deep into each one of those and the features that each one provides. So let's just start with the KNIME Analytics platform. Why do I need KNIME? Well, the answer depends, in my opinion, on who you are and what your role is. As a data scientist, I think it allows you to quickly build data models, run them, test them, make sure they are, you can visualize them. And as a business owner, it allows you to quickly get an understanding of your data and draw conclusions to make business decisions with these models that your data scientist provided. The KNIME Analytics platform provides you with, like I said, it's a tool for analysis, manipulation, and visualization. It has a very nice graphical user interface, which is really easy to use. We'll go see that through the demonstrations, where you can, we have diverse, very rich number of extensions that you can use for text mining, big data, integrations with R, Python, and of course, you can visualize the data within KNIME. One of the smallest parts that I tell my customers of KNIME is what we call a node. A node performs tasks on data. Think of it as the functionality or small script that does a certain functionality. In this case, we have a partitioning node. The partition node takes one input and provides two output based on the parameters or conditions that you set in that node. When you have a configure node, you have you have a traffic light that tells you the status of that node. If it hasn't been configured, you just drag it and drop it into the editor. You have a red light. That means it needs to be configured. Once you configure, it changes to idle. So you haven't run that. It's ready to be run. And then once you run it, if it's successful, it changes to green, so it's been executed. Otherwise, if you get an error, we give you an X and some explanation of what the error is. So you can easily go and change or open the configuration window and change the settings. So a user will use these nodes and combine them to create what we call a workflow. So you mix and match different nodes based on what you want to do, what you want to accomplish, and create a workflow. In this case, we're reading a file, we're doing some data manipulation, then you can create your model, save it, or make sure that you create your confusion matrix to see the accuracy, and visualize it with a plot, or a bar chart. So very easy to use. So that's what we call a nodes and workflows for those who are not familiar with the KNIME interface. KNIME has a very rich set of nodes that we provide out of the box, and what I tell my customers, KNIME provides an end-to-end solution, not only for mining the data or analyzing, but also allows you to do the entire cycle where you can connect to your Access databases like Oracle, SQL Server, MySQL. We don't have a connector, you could use JDBC. You can connect to XML, Excel, JSON. You can connect to big data, such as, for example, a Hive connector. Take all of your different sources and then do some data blending. If you need to mix and match that data, if you need to cleanse it, partition it. For example, you not always need all the data to build a model. Sometimes you need to remove missing data or blanks. So you can do that on with the transformation nodes, or what we call ETL. Cleanse the data, get it to the state where then you can pass it in and do your data analytics and data mining. And we have several capabilities with analysis and mining. So I'm going to click to give you an example of what we provide. Again, there are more that you can look at our website, but as an example, we support linear and logistic regression. For classification, we have random forest, neural networks, model optimization, K-means for clustering, scoring, and for validation. We'll also have PCA. And in addition, we have integration with R, Python, H2O, for example, and as well as deep learning. So we have a very rich set of nodes, not only our own nodes or native nodes, but also nodes that you can do integration with other platforms. Once you have your data analysis, then you can go ahead and visualize it with the nodes that we provide for scripting, creating a table, a scatter plot, or a bar chart to visualize it. And finally, you have the option to deploy that. You can save the model for later use, or you can create a data to report to integrate within BERT, which is a reporting tool that we integrate within KNIME, so you can create nice reports, create a PDF, and then provide it to your business users, or create maybe a CSV file or text file that then you can pass to a third-party tool for reporting. So besides these nodes, like as I show you, KNIME provides a lot of native nodes that you can use out of the box. But you may already have invested a lot of money into Python or R, and you have data scientists that enjoy working with R and Python, and they want to continue to use that, or make sure that they take advantage of that investment. So we provide integration with different interfaces, so you can reuse that. The first one I'm going to talk about today is Python integration. So you can continue to use your Python code inside KNIME. It works with existing installations. You can find all the nodes under the scripting section of the KNIME Analytics platform, which I will show you during the demo. And you have, the interfaces within these nodes are very similar to the ones, excuse me, for KNIME. So they're really easy to use. You don't have to relearn, a lot to use these nodes. Besides that, we provide a nice user interface where you can either type your code, or you can copy and paste your code from the IDE that you're currently using for writing Python, and you can execute within KNIME. And the nice thing is that you have this code included in your workflow in KNIME, and it's all in one place. The second integration I want to talk about is R. It's very similar to our Python integration, where you can continue using the R code that you have inside KNIME. It works with all current installations, and we have nodes for many tasks, such as just snippets to write your code. You can do a prediction with R, or views with R. So again, if you don't see some functionality that is available within a KNIME node, you can just write your code, or you can, if your data scientists want to keep using R or Python, you can keep using those languages. The same thing as Python, we have an R integration UI where you can paste your code, or you can write it, you can evaluate it, you can see if any errors happen. And again, the nice thing is all integrated within the KNIME workflow. The next integration I want to talk to you is H2O integration, which allows you to do machine learning. It's one of the ways that you can provide machine learning. It has a very strong focus providing fast, scalable implementations on algorithms such as boosted trees, random forest, linear models, and the output of these is an H2O frame. It's a lot of nodes. Maybe you may not be able to see all of these, but I can show them during the demo. These are on the KNIME labs. And finally, the last integration I want to talk to is a JavaScript integration. And I see most of our users using the JavaScript for creating interactive views. So you can create a view and then maybe have a subset of that data and view that data that you want. There is JavaScripting as well, so you can write JavaScripts for maybe have additional functionality or have everything in one node. But you can also use them for linear plots, for decision trees and conditional plots. So there's a lot of functionality as well for integrating with other libraries. So besides having integration with these libraries, we also have integration or support for big data. I have a lot of customers that have Hadoop clusters already, whether it's Hortonworks or Cloudera, and they're interested in running their the workflow, so the transformation, the analysis within the Hadoop cluster. They don't want to take out the data to the ETL or connect to multiple sources and then move the data back into Hadoop. They want to be able to run all that in Hadoop, and KNIME Analytics platform allows you to do that. You don't need to take out, bring your data to KNIME. To do this, all can be done through in Hadoop through the KNIME connectors. So as you can see here, we have pre-configured connectors to Hive, Cloudera as well. And if you, let's say, for example, this is a database connector, and you can use a database nodes to filter the data, to do SQL queries, and then change that connector to Hive or Impala, and then you don't have to change the interfaces. Everything will be very similar, and you can keep running that. If there's a change, like I said, the interface is very similar to what you worked before, so there's nothing new things to learn. In addition, we have a support for Apache Spark. This is, there's a lot of libraries included in there that you can use. If you want to, you can bring the data into KNIME, but like I said, it's not necessary. You can run all of these in the Hadoop cluster, and we have support for several versions of Spark. You can integrate them, to perform classification, regression, clustering. As you can see, pre-processing, you could leave that with KNIME nodes, but you can change and use Spark SQL to do some data manipulation, to select only the fields you want, partition the data, and then, for example, in these Spark K-means to train your model and then to run the model, as well as scoring it. For Apache Spark, we also have the ability to do machine learning. So this is just an example where you can use, again, the Spark nodes to all the way from connecting, pre-processing, doing your training and your model as well. So very rich set of libraries that run within Hadoop. You don't have to take your data out to perform all of these tasks. Then, a lot of times our customers want to test these environments. And this is a new node that we have. This is actually our newest release. This is the only new feature that I have on my presentation, but there's going to be some blogs. I think it's already out there talking about the new features of 3.6. But I wanted to talk about these because it's very useful, not just for our customers, for me as well. In my case, many times I want to show our customers how to run Spark or how to use these nodes, but I don't have access to a Hadoop cluster because I'm remote or I'm traveling. I don't have access to that cluster. Connection is too small, too slow. But now we have a create local big data environment where we can create that local environment on a laptop or workstation. You can connect, create your environment, and then run the nodes that you need without having to be connected to Hadoop. I would say this is also helpful for training and testing. So if you want to do training and you don't have a Hadoop cluster ready, you can do that. If you want to test, develop or test, you can do that. And of course, this is only for a local use. Once you're ready to test on the Hadoop environment or deploy it to the server, you would change this node from your local big environment to your actual connectivity to Hive or Impala, and then deploy it on your server. But for showing, for demonstrations, for testing, I believe this is a great feature that you can have, so you can run your examples or your tests without having to be connected to a Hadoop server. So I've shown you a lot of capabilities, our integrations, our big data, a lot of nodes that we have. And you may not know, how do I get started? I'm new to KNIME or I'm a data scientist, but I have some questions on, how does your tool can get me started? KNIME has KNIME Example Server, which is a public repository with a lot of examples available all the way from data access, ETL, visualization, analytics, big data, and all these workflows have documentation and have videos, so you can get started by using these examples. A lot of times I tell my customers, think of these maybe as templates that you can use to get started in your work, where you can substitute your data and then make the changes necessary for starting a model, and then, of course, tweak as necessary to fit your needs and your environment. And I'll show you during the demo where this is at and how to access it. So next, let's go into the demo. I'm going to show you the KNIME Analytics platform. And when you first install the platform or you open the analytics platform, you get this screen, which is, it tells you, welcome to the KNIME Analytics platform. There's some settings you can change, so you can stop notifications. But I think for getting started, it's a great way to go and guide you through the steps you need to do. So here you have like explore our quick start guide, things to do after you install. These are just little guidance that you can follow that will help you get started with KNIME. Also, had a learning hub where you can find examples as well. Some tips and tricks that you can, again, look and learn more about what KNIME is. Again, you can change these if you want to, but that's a good place to start. Once you get familiar with KNIME, you have different views that you can see here. The views, you have a KNIME Explorer, where you have your local workspace. So that's in your local repository, in your local workstation or laptop. That's where you keep your work. As you can see, this is running on Eclipse, and maybe you're familiar with Eclipse and see the interface that is, you're familiar with that. Instead of creating a new project, you create a new workflow or a new group. You can always import or export workflows. You give it a name, and you can save it on your local browser. That opens the editor, where you can start with an empty canvas where you drag and drop the nodes that we talk about, the functionality that you can use to create a workflow. Those nodes are available on the node repository. You can see in the right-hand side, you have input, output, and I'm not going to go over all of them. There are several ones, but you can find them. You want to read a file or a database, you have access to input, output, writing files. data manipulation for ETL, your analytics. I told you I was going to show you the scripting. Here's where we have the Java, Python, and R integration. And also under the KNIME Labs, we have the H2O nodes that we were talking about during the presentation. If you can't find one node, you can always search reader, and then it gives you a match of what you're looking for. We also have a fuzzy search, so if you want more feedback, you can do a fuzzy search, and it gives you additional information for the nodes. We also have a workflow coach. So a lot of times our customers, let's just drop that in here. You have a file reader, and you want to see what customers do, or what could you do after a file reader. Well, we'll give you some recommendations under the workflow coach that some people, after using the KNIME reader, they may use the joiner or the column filter or the raw filter. So it's just a way to get you started and see what you could use next. Maybe you want to parse the data or do some filtering to remove blanks. And that is all available within KNIME. Now, when you click on a node, you have access to the description. It's very nice. I mean, you could delete this if you want more space on the editor, but this is nice because you can see what their file reader is and what the inputs and outputs that it expects, as well as the information you need to give the file reader to provide, to do the functionality that it needs. So, like I said, if you want to get started, you can go into the examples server, which is available to you. If you have 3.5, you right-click and click login. There's not a need for a user ID or password. You just click the login, and it'll open the examples. For 3.6, you just double-click, and you see the examples. Go and maximize that. And like I said, you have different examples that you can get you started. You can open these and then save it in your local works repository, and then take a look at it. And I've chosen one of the workflows that we have on our example server, not because we're going to learn how to do churn, but this shows you the entire cycle of creating an analytics model, all the way from, as we saw in the PowerPoint, connecting to the data, transforming or pre-processing the data by joining it, partitioning it, maybe providing some color for our views. Then we create our data models, and finally we can score that and create some visualization of what this looks like. And what this model does is the training. As an example, have to build a basic PMML model for churn prediction using a decision tree algorithm. And so again, you can save this into your local workspace. And once you have your local workspace, you can start working with that. So just to show you how easy it is to use the interface, I have the Excel reader. So we have two sources. We have calls data and contract data, which we're going to join to then convert some data and then partition it. So I have already connected to the Excel reader, and I provided the data. And as you can see, when you click on a node or you right-click and click Configure, it opens a configuration window where you can browse and point to your data. You can change, make sure that you have your column names start at the right row number. You may be on the first row, maybe on the 5th row. And then you can visualize your data. So once you hit OK, as you can see right now, the traffic light indicates that it's yellow, so it's configured, but I have not run it. So I can execute it, and then I can preview or output the table and see all the data set. And here I can look at, see that I have missing data, or if something looks a little off as well. So then I want to add a file reader. Let me minimize that. I'm going to add a file reader. And again, I start with a red light because it has not been configured. I can open it, and I'm going to select the contract data, similar as I have on the already churn predictor workflow. This is a CSV file, so we go ahead and determine that it's delimited by a comma, but you can change that with a space, a tab. If it's, the file is not very well organized, you can also go to the advanced settings and change, to short lines, just to make sure that your file is being read correctly. Once you have that, you hit apply. And then again, I can execute it. That's a nice thing. You can test each node, or you can test the entire workflow. So you can add a node and test one step at a time. So once you have that, you can create, just add a joiner. Let me change that. We're gonna, our first data input is going to be from the Excel file and then the file reader. So I'm going to click on the joiner to set how do I want to join this file. You have different options for these again, and each node has different options or parameters that you set depending on what the functionality provides. I'm going to do an inner join, and then I can add the rows that I want to use for doing the join. In this case, I'm going to use area code and select. Same on this side, and you can add as many fields as you need for your join. I'm going to use also the phone on both data sets. So I'm doing an inner join on area code and phone for those both data sets. Click OK, execute, and then I can view my results. This is a join of both the Excel file and the CSV file, both with my calls data and my contract data. And then, as you can see, it's really easy. You can just keep adding nodes. And then, you want to add some color management and determine that, 0, it's blue, 1 is red, to make your output more interesting and, easier to view. Your decision learning, again, when you are training the model, you can select the class, the column you want to train on, and there's settings that you can provide to make sure that you're doing the right thing for that model. But again, this workflow shows you all the capabilities that KNIME provides, from connecting to the data source, transforming the data, creating a model, all the way to visualizing and scoring that model. Other thing that I want to show, which is actually part of the server feature, all these functionalities in KNIME, but I want to show you how easy it is to deploy. Let me save these because I'm going to talk about these, but I think it's nice to see that as well. I'm connected to a server that we have here in the office. It's local, and I have the train and chirp, my workflow on my local repository. So I can just say deploy to server and choose the server and the I may have one server, and this may be production or test, but you can have several servers listed or connected to, and then you can deploy to your test environment, run it, verify that it works, or once that's done, connect to your server and deploy it. So the deployment phase is really easy to use, and we'll cover that in the slides when we go into the server section. I just wanted to show you that because it's very easy to do when you're deploying to the server. So this is what I want to cover for the demo. Again, we have a lot of videos, and we can always do a more specific demo based on the user needs. I want to go back to cover the server features and make sure we have time for Q&A. Okay. So why do I need the server? I talk to a lot of customers. They say, I'm very happy using the analytics platform. It does everything that I need to do. I can run it from my local workstation. Why would I need the server? And that's a very fair question. I think the KNIME Analytics platform provides a lot of functionality that you can do, but when your team starts growing, there may be some additional features that you need to collaborate or to make it easier for data scientists to see what everybody's doing, or IT, to monitor users. And that's what the KNIME Server provides. It complements the KNIME Analytics platform, and gives you different abilities for starting from collaboration, where 2 or more data scientists can share workflows. So if you have 2 data scientists, and you may be fine with the data analytics platform and exporting, importing workflows. But when you get to 20 or 100, it may be a little bit more complicated. So you want an easier solution. You have deployment. I also have customers that are using notebooks or some Python or R code, and they're happy with that, but they have challenges when it comes to deployment. They're looking for other solutions that can make that process easy. And the KNIME Analytics, the KNIME Server provides that. Like I showed you during the demo, you just right-click on your workflow and deploy to the server. So we make things easier for data scientists when it comes to deploy to either a test environment or your production environment. Also provide access rights. You want to make sure that the right users have their right access to the workflows you want to share. So user rights, scheduling. So you want to automate the process of running these workflows. There's scheduling capabilities. Also, if you want to deploy applications from another application, we have a REST API that you can use to call out those workflows remotely, and makes it a lot easier. And then finally, for guided analytics. And what we think about guided analytics is that you have your data scientists creating these models, making sure they're valid, they're accurate, and then giving to the business user access to run them and give them as much complexity as needed. The end user or the business user will be able to run these models without changing anything on the workflow, but they can change some parameters so that the data scientists can provide parameters where they can change maybe dates, date ranges, or run one model instead of another one based on the data that they want to run, remove some data that is not useful for a certain model. So again, you can give enough flexibility. And what I also tell my users or my customers, think of self-serve, where the data scientists are busy writing models, and you let the business side do self-service and run those as needed. So to go deeper into each capability, starting with collaboration, again, you can share your workflows. And not only your workflows, you can also share your data. You can have your data next to your workflows, so it's easier to find. And again, your templates or those can also be available right there on the server. You also can have directory and workflow level permissions. So again, to have extra security to who access what and where. You can share metanodes. Again, metanodes, for those who are new to KNIME, are sets, like think of it as a function or an object in programming. When you have certain capabilities or functions that you do often, maybe you have an ETL workflow that you use all the time for different workflows, and you want to share with other data scientists. You don't want 2 or 3 data scientists write the same workflow over and over and again. You want one data scientist to build that, create a metanode, share it, and then other data scientists can reuse that, so it's more effective, and we're not wasting time rewriting the same thing over and over again. Like I say, scheduling, you can go ahead and schedule a workflow right then, ad hoc, or you can set up a scheduler. So if you have business users that need reports every morning when they come to work, you can run this maybe at 1 a.m., make sure the workflows are run, and they have the reports ready to go early when they come into work. One other nice feature is that you can version your workflows. And once you have 2 or more workflows, you can compare one to another one to see what's changed for documentation. Also, if maybe your new workflow is not giving you what you expect, or some issues running, you can compare them and see, well, this value has changed. How is that affecting my workflow? So very nice for not just documentation, but also maybe for troubleshooting. And then, we have the REST API, so you can deploy workflows as REST-based web services using the JSON input and the JSON output nodes. So these workflows receiving input data through the REST interface in JSON format. So the workflow is deployed in the KNIME server and keeps waiting for requests. So on a request is executed and produces a model and the data that you need. So then you can pass this data or the results back to the other application. To call it, you would need to post a request from a KNIME node or from any HTTP request composer such as Postman. Now, for the guided analytics or for other features, you can use the web portal. The web portal allows you to allows workflows to be open as web applications. And again, you can give access to the web portal to your users, end users, business users. They don't have to have KNIME installed on the laptop. They just use a browser to connect to the server. You just give them the path to that server. Again, they'll be added as a user, and you can give them access to the workflows you want to give them access depending on their role, and then they can run those from the browser and view the results. And in guided analytics is what I'm saying, that is that you can allow them to deploy these workflows whenever they need, and they can change the parameters that you give them access, and they can serve themselves and run these as needed. So the web portal is also a feature of the web servers where both data scientists can log in to run the workflows, or your business users, business analysts can do that as well. On the access rights, user management. So we provide user authentication. If you're a small shop, you have a small group of users, you can use our database authentication, just adding the users. If it's 5 users, just add them yourself. But if you have 50, 100 users or more, it may be better to use the LDAP integration and use those. Integrate that within your KNIME. So when you have one employee joining, they automatically are added to KNIME, and we also have support for single sign-on. And a lot of times, we see that the KNIME administrator is not a KNIME user or KNIME analytics platform user. So we're making things easier for IT or for the administrator to get users, to see the status of a job, to add, remove users, to see what's running, what's not running. So that is done through the web portal, where the administrator can go and make changes as needed without having to be an expert on KNIME analytics platform. So so those are the things that we have for the server. And you can deploy the server on your data center, but you have other options as well. You can deploy the server on Azure and in AWS. We have made, if you need to get started quickly, you want to take advantage of your investment on either of those clouds, or you want to have your analytics platform closer to your data. We have connectors to S3, to the Azure Blob Store, so you can be closer to your data, and you also take advantage of scaling your workload, so you can increase to, let's say, 32 cores in Azure whenever you have big workloads, or it's a period of time where you need to analyze a lot of data, and then during low seasons, then you can reduce that back to maybe 8. So that's also available. We have videos on the steps that are needed to set up your either KNIME Analytics platform or the server on the cloud. So in summary, the KNIME server gives you the collaboration where you can share metanodes, you can share data, workflows. You have the automation to automate those, schedule them, deploying those through applications, guided analytics applications, have the front end and help RESTful services, and of course the management to make sure that you provide access to the right people and to the right workflows. For our server, I'm including this link that shows you the different editions that we have for our server. So if you have additional questions, you can go to our website and look at the different editions we have and what each one provides. But in a nutshell, you know, the server, it complements the analytics platform. It's not going to, you know, give you access to more data or being able to run more data. It's just going to give you more administration capabilities to make sure you manage your workflows correctly. So how do I get started? What I tell my customers, I send them links to get them started. And the first thing I suggest is download KNIME. It's on our website. It's really easy to download and install. We have different installers for different operating systems. Become active in the forum. I've seen a lot of or some comments from our users that say, you know, one particular said, "Oh, I've learned so much from just reading these forums, and you know, and the responses." All here in KNIME are active in the forum, as well as our customers and our partners, and we include sample workflows. So we try to get you started pretty quickly. We also have e-learning course that you can take, as well as, you know, books, a lot of videos on our KNIME TV, webinars, and if you want formal training, we can also provide formal training. Finally, as well as, you know, get you started, and as a thank you for attending today's webinar, we want to give you access to one of our books, which is the KNIME Beginner's Luck book, which was written by Rosaria here with me. Here's the KNIME, the book code that you need, which is KNIME-webinar-0718. We'll have it on the PowerPoint and be available for a few days. So go ahead and download it. I've gone through the examples. They have been very useful to see how, how you can use KNIME to create real-world solutions. So that's all I have for the presentation today. Next, we're going to go to the question and answers. And let me take a look at the questions we have.
So I have one question. One question is asking if KNIME is loading up data into a data frame that can be manipulated by Python. Shall I answer this one? Mm-hmm. Okay. So if you take one of the Python nodes, okay. For example, this one. I'm just going to show you quickly how the Python nodes work. So you can see that the input data provided by KNIME here, they become available inside the configuration window of the Python node. And you can, you know, just double click, and then they get inserted into the Python code with the right syntax. So they are all available here, and they can be inserted into the Python code in the node. Okay, so another question is asking if what are the deep learning integrations available in KNIME?
Okay, I'll take this one. So we have several options. I show one, which is the H2O integration, but we also have Keras built in on top of TensorFlow. We also have TensorFlow, and as well as deep learning for J.
Okay. So here they are asking, how can I recall my workflow from another application?
So you can use our REST API. So if you have access to the REST API through the server, you can call any workflow remotely from your application.
Okay, here is another question. Is there an easier version of KNIME Analytics platform for less expert users in data science?
For that, in that case, I would use the guided analytics with the web portal, which allows data scientists to create the data models and provide to the business users an easy-to-use interface for them to manipulate certain values, provide, you know, change some some of them maybe which model to deploy, but it gives them a very easy to use interface, and the data scientist is guiding the user through the steps they should run.
Okay, I have a basic question that I always get asked. Is the analytics on the KNIME server better than the analytics on KNIME Analytics platform?
Well, the answer is no. All the functionality that you get is in the analytics platform. There's nothing additional on the server that, like I said, you don't have access to running more data or having more analytics with the server. The server complements the analytics platform. You can do all the analytics you want within the analytics platform.
Okay, one more question is there an opportunity to import ETL logic from other tools easily, or will I have to import it manually? And he's quoting Oracle Warehouse Builder, especially. Dedicated tools to import logics from other tools, as far as I know, are not available. However, you can always try to export your logic into some format, and it can be re-imported by reading and, for example, using the rule engine node that defines the logic for your data. Okay. Another question, the last question for today is, can I use KNIME Analytics platform only for ETL and data manipulation without using the machine learning?
The answer is yes. You can use only the ETL nodes within KNIME, although I would say maybe you're not using the application at its fullest, which is what the KNIME Analytics platform provides. That's, I think, where the power of our solution is. But if that's the only thing you need, you can just use ETL for a solution as well.
Okay, we have concluded with the questions. Thank you, Cynthia, for describing us the KNIME software, and I hope I will see you at the next webinar.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.